Welcome to the MSJC Internet Authoring Videocast.
In this video, you'll be learning how to complete Guided Practice 9B. As you can see here, I have a new NetBeans project created. I've imported the java.awt.asterisk classes, as well as importing the Java xSwing.asterisk classes. And I have a new class created here, which is named GP9B. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and extend our class so that it's inheriting from JFrame. And then I need to create a container object that we'll call content, and that will allow us then to put other AWT components into our JFrame. So I use the getContentPane method of the JFrame class, and I assign it then to a container type that we're going to call content. Now, since we've extended our class to be a JFrame object, we want to go ahead and create a constructor for our class. And so that's where we want to build our components into, is our application, which is a JFrame component or a JFrame object. So I'm going to start here with a border layout. We'll call it layout. So that'll be equal to a new instance of a border layout. And then we need to add that to our content using the set layout method, and we'll just go ahead and then pass our layout into that content component. As you learned from the lecture, we need to make our JFrame visible. So we're going to assign true to the setVisible method. I want the this keyword there because it's referring to our class here, which is a JFrame. And then we'll go ahead and set the size. We'll make it 300 pixels wide by 400 pixels deep. And then it's also very important that we set the default close operation. As we discussed that too in the lecture, that by default, the close button doesn't actually stop your program from running. So we need to go ahead and assign the JFrame constant exit on close. And JFrame is always J, capital F. If you've done that correctly, the constant should show up in green. And then let's go ahead and assign a title using the setTitle method. And we'll just call it GUI app. Then to run this, we'll just need to go down into our main here, create an instance of our Guided Practice 9B class. We'll just call it GUI. And that'll be equal to a new GP9B. And now we should be able to go ahead and run this. And see, there is the JFrame. Looks like I got a typo in my title here. Let's go back and fix that. So let's go ahead and run this now. And there is our JFrame window with the title set to GUI app. Now the next thing that we can do here is add a component called a JLabel, which is essentially how we add text into our content pane. If you ever used a HTML form, you know that you use the label element in there to type out the text that goes in the form and kind of identifies what goes into the different inputs on a web form. So in a Java GUI application, we use the JLabel object. So that's going to be a new instance of a JLabel. And one of the nice things about a JLabel is that we can, in the constructor, actually add the text that we want to have displayed in the JLabel. So that's the creation of the label and assigning to it, as I said, in the constructor there, what text we want to display. And then now we'll come back in here into our GUI app, and then we want to use the content object in its add method to then just add our label that we created up above there, LBL. Let's go ahead and run this. And there you can see is our hello world text. It's now contained within the content pane of our JFrame. And we close it, and our program does end. So we're looking pretty good so far. If you remember from the lecture, we showed you there were several different layouts that you can use within your Java GUI apps. And also we mentioned that border layout is the default layout method. So what I want to show you here is that when we're adding our label in here, you might have noticed that the label was aligned to the left. If we want to change that, we can simply call that border layout in its constants center to align that text to the center of the content pane. So we'll just go ahead and run that and show you the difference here. There it is. You might have noticed there that our text was aligned to the left and in the middle of the content pane. So if we want to change that, we can use border layout and apply north constant to it, and you'll see that that will move it to the top. It's still going to be aligned to the left, but it moves it to the top. So let's go ahead and run this again. And there you can see that it has moved it to the top. So that's north. If we choose south, now it's going to be at the bottom. If we do east in here, you'll see it'll go back to the middle, but now it aligns to the right, or I should say center. So when you use center, so your options are north, which is top, center, which is middle, south, which is bottom, and then for left and right, you have east and west, and then west is the default, but if we put east in there, you can see it moves it over to the right. So let's change our layout type now. Let's go ahead and get rid of this here and then come up here and change this from border layout to flow layout. And we'll need to change it there as well. Go ahead and run that, and you can see that the difference with the flow layout, you can see now it starts at the top and aligns the text to the center left, right. And then we'll change this up one more time, show you what a grid layout looks like. So with the grid layout, you want to pass at least 2 integers to it. So the integer values that you're putting in here are the number of rows followed by the number of columns. And we'll need to add a few more labels here. Just copy and paste a few of these here. So we'll have LBL1, LBL2, LBL3. Let's do first name here, last name here, and then we'll put in today's date there, at least the date I have above. So let's go ahead and run this. Oops, I haven't added it into the content yet, so we got to come down here, make a copy of this, and paste it then 3 times. Let's put them on different lines here. So this will be label 1, label 2, and label 3. All right, now let's run it. So you can see how we have a grid now where we've got 2 columns wide, 2 rows deep. Now we could, in a grid layout, we could also add a horizontal gap and a vertical gap, but you're really not going to see this when we run it. So we've still got 2 rows by 2 columns, but now we're saying that in between the 2 columns we want to add 10 pixels, that's the horizontal gap, and then between the 2 rows we want to add 20 pixels. Yeah, so you really can't see any difference there because we already had a lot of spacing. Let's do this really large. Let's do 100 and 200. There you can see a little bit, you know, it's created a little bit of space. Better when you have boxes in here. So for your guided practice 9B assignment, what I want you to do is just create a 3-row by 1 column grid alignment, and then go ahead and apply or add 4 different labels into your content pane. If you liked this video, please click the like button and leave us a comment down below. I also would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when new videos are posted.